There is only one thing in her hand that divided people for centuries. Some people say that it is a sign of power. Some people say that it is a warning. And there are people who die without ever realizing it, even if I think about it every day. I'm talking about the letter M on the palm of your hand. Why, here begins the conflict in real life. Or is this just a drawing random from the body? Or someone or something has left his mark here, and with that intention. And the most disturbing is not the letter itself. This is what they say, what comes along with it. It says that anyone who carries this is born with intuition and well above average. Others say that it is a sign of leadership and power, and the target is out of the ordinary. But there's also the other side, the side that almost no one wants to talk about. The idea of this brand and the snake of price, and that it will require hard choices that she makes the people trying to live on autopilot. So when I heard it for the first time, I didn't feel out of curiosity. I felt uncomfortable. Because the question is not, what does this letter mean? So the question is a lot more dangerous. And if that tells you anything about who you really are, and you were ignoring them, today I'm going to take this battle from the beginning to the end, without spirituality and inexpensive. No fear grown in your head, but it's also no pretending that the symbols do not stir the human mind. I am going to show you why the letter M has become one of the more talked about in the palm of your hand. Why is it that some people recognize that they are deep in it, and by that others reject this idea with all his might? And before I continue, I want you to do two things right now, because this is a game changer. Subscribe to the channel, because this is the type of content does not appear by any chance in your life, and it appears to be in order. And share this video with anyone who likes mysteries and symbols of the body and of the questions that bother you. You may already be waking up a reflection on that person comes from by avoiding it for years. Now, take a deep breath, looking for a new to the palm of your hand, because from here on in, each topic it will bring you closer to an answer. And perhaps it's a question all about you. When I talk about the letter M in your hand, I'm not talking about something as designed, selected, or invented in the future. I'm not talking about a design that appears, alone, silent, formed by the meeting of lines that have always been there. The lines that a lot of people called for the line to the heart line, the headline, and the life. And in a few cases, a vertical line, which some associate with the target. The letter M is not on the line, it is the encounter with one of them. Because when these lines cross each other in a way that is specific to the brain, recognizes it at the time, that looks like an M. And from that moment on, there's no such as Desver. The reason for this mess as much with the people, it is much deeper than it may seem. A human being is a machine to find patterns. I'm looking for a cloud, and I can see the face. I'm looking for the points of light in the sky, and I can see the constellations. I'm looking for random lines on my hands, and all of a sudden, I saw a letter. And when it's a letter that appears in the mind goes on high alert because of the letters, language. Speech is the message, and the message is always raises the same question silently. It's a symbol. Is this just coincidence? Or is it that you want to say something to you? And this is where I need to be honest with you, the same way as directly as possible, without a break in the weather. There is no scientific evidence that the lines on the hand to determine the future, but there's something in you that no one can deny it. Symbols have power. They shape our culture, they shape our beliefs, and they shape the way we see. A symbol cannot change the world, but you can change it to who you think is inside of it. And when that changes, the decisions you make will change along with it. Your behavior will change, your path is changing. So when I'm talking about the letter M on, I'm talking about the three layers going on at the same time, canceling each other out inside of you. The physical design, the actual lines you carry in the palm of your hand for a long time. The cultural and spiritual significance, all the stuff that tradition, stories, and people designed on this symbol from time to time. The effect of a number of what is going on in your mind and in your heart at the same time, you start to believe it carries something different, something rare, something special to you. And the most important thing, I am going to show you how each of these three layers can be used to your advantage. No fear, no bigotry, without losing any ground, only in consciousness and choose. I like to think of it as follows. On the other hand, is one of the parts of the body that is most widely spoken without sound for some. It is never quiet, in fact. She picks it up, loose, away, hosting, jerks, build, protected, even before the word was in your hand, which he explained who we were. On the other hand, is our first contact with the outside world. It is through her that we play it, feels like temperature, and measure the distance. You realize that intention. It is for this reason that so many cultures have looked to the palm and began to think about maybe it's life's to leave the marks exactly where the people to be expressed. And in many traditions around the world, looking at the palm, it became a symbolic way to look at life. Don't like the forecast? But it is like a mirror. When someone looks at her hand without even realizing it, the questions silent begin to appear. In how do I act when no one is looking at me? What I think of when I need to decide where to buy? How do I feel when something touches me the truth? How do I want to, when you choose, does it hurt? Even if you don't believe in anything mystical, you have something that's impossible to deny it. When you look at your hand with care and attention, you can stay in touch with yourself. This in itself is an exercise in the depths of self-discovery. It's a pause and hard to find in a world which is almost never. And it is precisely here that the letter O is power. She became a popular symbol because it seems out of the ordinary, something that is not at all in the hands. And it's all that it seems rare to illuminate automatically with a light inside of us. One question is simple but powerful. If that tells you anything about me? Some of the people associated with this symbol is all over the place, any other destination. To that intuition, example, the ability to notice what others do not see. Still others speak of leadership, a mission, a so-called internal, hard to ignore. And I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to show you all of these ways, one by one, and mostly I show you how to wear this look in a symbolic way, healthy, to understand better, and to make decisions in my life, and to live with more presence, regardless of their faith.
Because at the end of the day, the most powerful symbol that is not what they are in your hand, this is the one that is inside of you when you are paying attention to it. One of the performances that most are to be repeated when you talk about the letter M on the palm of your hand is this. Anyone who carries this symbol, you would have a sense higher than the average. And when I talk about intuition, and I'm not talking about magic or divination or predicting lottery numbers, I'm talking about that feeling quiet, almost a whisper, one that arises without asking for permission. That inner strength that will pull you by the arm and say, we're not going out there. For you, something's wrong. Be careful with that one. It's too good to be true. You need to move now. I have lived through a time like that. The times that there was no proof of any of them. Nothing in particular, nothing is logical in the paper, but something inside of me said, is not. Clearly, we ignore the seemingly impossible. And then, over time, I realized something very important. In the majority of cases, the intuition does not fall out of the sky. It is created when the brain boards small signal expressions, repeating patterns, sensations of the body which you don't even notice it consciously. It's as if a part of the silent mind he came to the conclusion before you do the rest. A part of the symbolic goes exactly where.
When you look at the letter M on your hand and you identify with that sense of the intuition that something will change, you get to hear the most. You start to slow down before you decide. You'll pay attention to the details of it before you pass out. You look at the patterns in people, in situations, in making the right choices. And it is only by this movement have transformed their decision-making. But now I need to have a warning light as if it were a whisper of caution. Intuition is not a license to live on the alert at all times. It is not an excuse to not trust everything. It is not a justification for creating a fear and where it does not exist. Intuition and healthy, this is the one that comes with any clarity. It is not anxiety. With that responsibility, not paranoid. It guides you through, but it's not overpowering. She says, but it doesn't hold. And when it's used in the right way, she doesn't step away from the world. It will close itself. The other interpretation is very common, and perhaps an issue that causes discomfort is the following. Those who have the M on the palm of the hand, it would be someone a little more difficult to fool. Not because that's the person to be suspicious in nature, but it's because she seems to feel that if something doesn't fit, it's like a feeling, silent for a falsehood, for handling, for conversations that sound like some other, to the promises of beautiful that you have something for me. And I'll tell you right now that I think about it the way most straightforward and with his feet firmly on the ground. A lot of people who are identified with this symbol, it also tends to be extremely observant. It was micro-contradictions. Her note to the pitch of the voice changes. When is the look of death? When the story doesn't match with your action. Not because of the in charge, but that's because, in the course of a lifetime, this person has developed a camera built for this term. In a symbol, in this case, it's just a mirror, something that it reflects an ability that was already there, probably asleep. And there's a price tag on it. Because you see, too much, it means to be disappointed soon. It means to perceive the truths that others choose to ignore it. It means to tell when someone is smiling, but it is not telling you the truth. Right now, I want to pull you out of that conversation. In fact, look at the palm of your hand and take your time. You are able to see some of the format look like an M. Its lines are well marked. They are deep in or more muted. They cross paths with a hard or hardly touch each other. Comment below which one you see in their hand.
And tell me one thing more than another, with a sincere heart. Do you consider yourself a crazy person to cheat? Or have you ever felt more than once that something was wrong, but you chose to ignore it? I want to compare it to what you live for what we're talking about here.
Because it is during this exchange that the symbol is no longer earth, and you get to earn what it really means. There's a story old, is repeated with different cultures and backgrounds. They will always come back when it comes to the letter M on the palm of your hand. She would appear almost as a whisper. He that hath the M, it tends to be a leader. But when I listen to the word to lead, and I don't think it automatically in the office, power, or status. I don't think of just in chief, a politician, or a businessman. I'm thinking of a kind of leadership that a lot more quiet and a lot more in-depth. I think of the mother or the father who holds the home at an emotional level, even when you are tired. The friend that everyone in the world looks when it's bad because it conveys without the need to promise anything. The teacher that makes the life of someone else without knowing it, just by the way he spoke a sentence in a timely manner. In a person who is almost never raises her voice, but when he spoke, the whole room seems to listen to. This is a leadership which does not require the stage, it just happens. The belief behind this sign is that of the M represents a kind of signature of the inner power and strength, something that you don't need to be tested, something that you don't need to be announced, anything that you do. And I'd like to translate it in a way that's practical and down to earth.
If you look at his hand and saw the M's and uses it as a quiet reminder, this is just a reminder that you can and should take up responsibility for one's own life. Because leadership starts just around at the moment when you want to outsource all of their choices and their reactions and their ways. At the end of the day, leadership is not to put, it is not controlled, it is not widely accepted. Leadership to support a decision on when no one is looking. This is to cope with the consequences of that choice. It is to be consistent between what you think, what you say, and what you do. And maybe that's what this symbol is called so much attention to details, because deep down, he doesn't speak on the other side. It speaks to the power of oneself. I like to imagine it as a story, because the parable does not need to be a landmark for work. They are known to cross the logic that and play directly inside of us. I can imagine a world traveler walking alone on a dark path. There were no signs, there was no map, there was no GPS. There was no one to make sure that it was going to be headed in the right direction. Only silence and steps to be taken. On the ground, he was unsure of the horizon, confusing, and each seemed to carry a risk. But from time to time, he raised his eyes, and you noticed something different in the sky. A star in the sky. Not the most brilliant, not the greatest, but it is strangely familiar.
In the mind of him that the stars seem to be drawing to a specific format, with an M, and for some reason it's hard to explain, it calmed her down. As if the universe has no use for words, though whispered. You're not lost. You're not walking around aimlessly. Keep going. But here comes the most important part of that history, the one part that is often forgotten about. The stars don't come with the traveler in your arms. It did not remove all the obstacles out of the way. It's not made on the road, the shortest or easiest. She just lit enough to show you the direction. For the rest, it's a choice. It was courage. It was a responsibility for each step in the dark. And it's just as well that I'm looking at the symbol of the hand. Not a destination that you stick to. Not a sentence right to the skin. But how in the direction shown, as a point of reference built in. Anything that does not walk you, but it reminds you all the time, it still is possible. And sometimes, that is all that you need. Right now, I'm going to be straight up with you. No mystery there. No metaphor. Symbol of action becomes an ornament. It does not matter who is drawn in his hand. It does not matter how many lines are crossed. It does not matter how many of the meanings did someone give you. So, if nothing changes in the way we live, and the symbol is not used at all, and it is precisely for this reason that the subject move as much, because it is not just the marks on the skin.
He talks about the choices that were postponed, the potential dropped from the internal signals that we are feeling, but it pushes you to. If this is the theme you bothered on some level, even if it's only for a little while, that's a sign. If it's something in there he was attentive, curious, quiet, it's because you're not here by accident. And it is for this reason that I must tell you very clearly, subscribe to the channel right now. It is not by the number, it is not by mistake. This is why I work here, not these videos free. It's a win, an ongoing conversation, in a way that reveals itself little by little. When you watch just one video, you can understand the half of it. When you're reading, you'll begin to connect the dots. So, if you sign up, activate the notification, and if that allows it to continue. And let me ask you a question that I wish someone would have done me much earlier. Do you want to continue to live on in the auto mode, to respond once again, pushing it back to life with a belly? Or do you want to learn how to recognize the signs of inmates who try to guide you a long time ago?
If you feel that it's time to get out from the auto, if you feel that you need to hear it the most, this channel is for you. If you sign up now, this is where I need to speak with you. He looked at me with his hand. We saw it. Turned out to be a little bit compared. And he thought of the silence. Well, I didn't have this hem. So, does that mean that I'm not special? Breathe with me now, because of the response that needs to come down slowly. No one is any less special because of the line, or any other person to try and get you to diminish because of it. It is not to reveal the truth. You are selling an illusion. The symbol M is on a reed culture, a human construction, one way of creating a narrative, meaning, and history. But the force, the consciousness of, their ability to grow in, do not rely on it. You don't need a brand that is visible to the depths. Even without the M, you can do all the things that you say that it is. Intuition, attention, quality, and experience. Leadership, taking responsibility for one's own choices. Clearly emotional, getting to know each other the truth. No escape from each other. The courage to perform all day, even with the fear. None of that was born at the ready. All of this is built. And let me tell you something that almost no one talks about. You have the M also. It is not a guarantee of anything. Sometimes those who believe too much in this symbol falls into the trap of dangerous, the trap of the ego. I'm serious, I'm different, okay, I'm okay. And that's when the person pushes with a smile. Why to listen to it? To learn, to grow to this day. For this reason, the best place to be, with or without the M, it's just that symbol of inspiration. Have ever been as a sentence. The symbol can also point to a path.
But if you want to is up to you. There is a side of this symbol is that almost no one wants to talk about. In a quiet side, heavy, built in. There are times when a person believes deeply that it carries a signal, that is the symbol is no longer active plans, and it starts to turn over the collection. With a collection that doesn't come out of it, it comes from the inside out. A person wakes up to the feeling that you have to be strong all the time. What you can't miss it, you can't go wrong. You can't show weakness. And your thoughts will start to repeat itself, almost like an echo. I can't fail. I'm S, so I need to adjust every time. I'm S, so I have to take care of it. I'm S, so I have to save the world. See how this weighs? The symbol, which was supposed to light up, it begins to press on. What you should focus on, she starts to demand it. And then, little by little, the person will be known for something that's essential to. The human being is also a part of the path. This is very dangerous, because no one argues for the perfection for a long time. And when the fall comes, it is accompanied by guilt, shame, and silence. A person does not ask for help. It does not break with the weight. Do not allow yourself to begin again. But let me tell you something very clear. Perhaps you need to listen to this right now. One of the best gifts anyone can have is not a mark on his hand. It is capable of recognizing any limits.
To ask for help without feeling the smallest. Learn from your mistake, again and again, without punishment. The symbol is no required to perfection. Only the ego demands it. Right now, I want you to listen to it again, with all their heart. Comments here, and if you feel that your lines are the more well-designed or more messy. In and tells me to an important question. Do you feel that it carries the weight of having to be strong all the time? I want to figure out if this is a subject you touch on something sensitive inside of you. Because they play a lot, and I drive it with respect and care, and in depth. Sometimes it's the greatest sign of strength, not in your hand. It is the courage to drop the weight. There is also an understanding that it touches one of the places the most sensitive part of the life. All the relationships. A lot of people believe that those who have the M in the palm of your hand, this is someone who loves you with the strength. But it also carries a deep need for the truth. No truth is spoken out of the mouth, come out. But the truth is felt, experienced, sustainable. And when the truth is want, something inside that person, and if you close it. I've seen it happen many, many times. A person is delivered from the truth. She is a loyal friend. She invests the time, energy, and presence. But there is a limit, a very light, almost invisible. When it is exceeded, then a game changer. It does not support the game in mind. Don't tolerate handling that is disguised as love. Don't talk double, half-truths, and silence are calculated. And it can be a beautiful, because this is rarely the case, but it can also be a profoundly painful experience. Because when you got too much, you will become more rapid. When you feel it too, you see before you, and when you realize it before too many times you're alone, before I could explain to you why that is, there are people who spend a large part of your life asking yourself, why do I feel like something has changed even when everything is normal? Why would I move it first to understand? That's a lie. Even a small one weighs as much for me. Right now, I want you to pull me into the whole thing for me, looking for a new to the palm of your hand. Take your time, no rush. Notice how all the lines come together. They will make a noticeable or something that looks like a quasi-mark, but this, comment what you see, and he will answer truthfully. You think of yourself as someone who values truth above everything else. Or do you feel that, at times, quick to forgive others, even when it's something inside of you has already noticed that he was right? I want to read out their answers, because in the relationships of the symbol, it is not just the hand. It appears that especially in the way that you love it. Right now, I'm going to touch on a sore point, and so, need. For every symbol that the lights are also designed the shadows.
And the letter H is no exception to that. When someone who deeply believes that carries a symbol of rare, there is a catch, silent, which can be used to just, almost without being noticed, the feeling of superiority. The man starts to pull away from the other, from the inside, without even realizing it, the thoughts that will change the mood. And phrases such as these are beginning to echo in the silence. I'm special, and others don't understand. I see things that nobody sees. I'm over it. I have been a target for, and then some rules don't apply to me. To realize the danger? At this point, the question mark is no longer the mirror, and a turned pedestal base. And this is not spirituality. This is the ego, using the costume as a disguise. True spirituality is not separate. She's coming. She did not believe the elect. It creates a responsibility. If the idea of an M will lead to humility, compassion, to care for each other, the service is quiet, the responsibility for one's own acts. So this token is playing a role in a healthy. But if it leads to arrogance, at the contempt, as heightened awareness, the feeling of being bigger than the others, in the way of greatness, so the symbol is no longer heel itself. He turned 3. And here I would like to use a ruler and a simple, nearly foolproof. If it's a belief, you become more of a human being. It is. If she becomes more and more cold, more distant, or more vicious, it's too dangerous.
The symbols do not prove the superiority of the cow. They try to maturity, and all the test reveals a Gatto who's really got the message. If you want to take all of it out of the realm of ideas and bring on a day-to-day, real, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Without the ritual, no mystery now, just practice being aware. I will use the symbol M as a reminder to silence them. Don't like promises, but as a call to presence. And there are 3 simple adjustments that when repeated will change completely the way you want to live in. 1. I scored patterns. I feel I have a gut feeling that the notice is internal. That strange feeling you get no explanation. I have a record. Not to prove anything to anyone, but it's pretty normal to me. I scored on the phone, sometimes in a notebook. A few words are enough. Over time, it's a powerful thing. I begin to differentiate between intuition, actual anxiety in disguise. I can see it when your body is warning you and when the mind is only out of fear. That sits back to me clearly, and clearly, it changes the decisions. 2. I practice honesty with myself. That part hurts a little bit, but it is essential. If I tell you that I like the fact that I start with for me, I'll stop pretending you're okay when you're not. I stop deceiving me with the excuse of a machine. I'll stop pushing for the life of the day, waiting for the right time. Till the vase killed Treo my own truth, and something inside of me was weakened. And every time I'm honest with myself, even when it's uncomfortable, something that lines up. The letter M at this point, it turns into a mirror. She asks me quietly, "You're being consistent with who you say you are?" 3. I take the micro leadership. It doesn't have anything to do with the command of someone else. It's not about control. It has to do with the day-to-day responsibility. I lead with my daily routine, in my sleep, my case study, on top of my bills. I say, I will do what I say unto you, that I'm going to do it. Or I promise. These micro-leaderships seem to be as quickly as possible, but they're built for something much more important, the self-confidence for real. The inflated self that they are silent. They do not need to be upfront about this. And this is where it all connects. When you change the symbol in the action in the habit of, and training Anna, the destination that no longer seem far away is starting to be built in. Take it one day at a time. There is one question that almost always comes up at this point in the conversation. It does not come all at once. It appears to be slow. But, he insists, as a thought back to myself. Okay, but what the hence does it matter? The right hand or to the left, switch to something. It's curious how such a question arises. Of course, almost no one to mess with. As if deep down we knew where it appears. It also says something about how he manifests.
A lot of people say it with enough conviction. If you get into the right hands, it means something to you. If you see it on the left, that means the other. If it turns up at the 2, then the meaning is closer than ever.
And now, I'm going to be honest with you, calmly, and without having to create a war between the traditions, beliefs, and systems. I don't like the answers too hard, responses too close too often away most of it to explain it. I prefer translations to make sense of it, which lead to the reflection rather than imposing a conclusion. In the simplest way possible, I'd like to see like this. The hands could represent what you will bring as a trend, potential for low noise levels, natural inclinations, seeds that were not there before, even if you take care of them, things that make you, even if you still do not know how to explain it. On the other hand, it may represent how all of this is set out in the world, what you've done from time to time, what you choose to be strengthened or to ignore it, the one that became the attitudes, habits, attitude, behavior. It's almost as if it's a hand to speak of what is in the silence, and the other is to show you what you can do with it when your life requires emotion, the decision-making position, inside and out, the potential and practical, feel it and do it.
But I make it a point to make it very clear, I did not create the illusion of unnecessary. This can vary from belief to belief, from culture to culture, and from reading to reading. So I'm not going to sell it as the absolute truth. This is a lens as possible, one way to look at. No judgment on who you are or who you should be. Right now, I'm trying to bring to this conversation, in fact. Comments here with the M will appear on the right hand, left hand, or both. Me in replies with something that goes well beyond the hand, in addition to the line, in addition to the symbol. Do you feel that it is much more intense on the inside than on the outside? Or do you feel that it shows the world exactly who you are without a filter? This trade-off in the comments, it is essential. It makes the video live. It connects to real stories, real people, real life experiences. And I read it all with the attention to come up with examples, thoughts, and patterns in the next content. Because at the end of the day, sometimes the hand just starts to talk. But in truth, it appears when you have to, and you see. At the end of the day, if I had to sum up all this in a single sentence as honestly as you can, I would say like this. For me to have or not to have an M in your hand, unable to decide who I am, but it can also be a powerful reminder of who I choose to become.
Because when I look at my palm with the calm, with particular attention, and I can see that the drawing, that the possibility, that the symbol, I agree that there does not exist a prompt response. There is a choice. If I see an M, I can't choose between two very different paths. One-way basis, the fear of, the inflated ego, to think that the world owes me something. A path of self-awareness, for the courage shown, the responsibility for my decisions, of the real presence in one's life. I choose the latter, every single day, even when it's uncomfortable, even when we're scared, even when no one is looking. Right now, I'm going to ask you one with the force and the truth, because it supports the channel and making that content reach out on the one who really needs to hear this right now. Subscribe to the channel, not out of habit, by design. Turn on your notifications, because they have a video on here that isn't entertainment, it's the turn of a key. Share this video with someone in your life, a friend, a family member, or a group that you love mysteries, symbols, and deep reflection. At times, you are the one with the missing link. Leave your like, because it's the simplest way to tell the pro's algorithm it has no value. And you said you have the M in your hand. Which hand? Your lines are the more marked, or softer. And now comes the part that's most important to me, and to you as well.
I want you to answer with a calm, no rush, because I'm going to use this to build it in the next video. What is a line in? You have the power. Some of the crossing or not? With a line that looks like a letter? A symbol for a stranger who always caught your attention. And if you are not in your hands, do you have any tag like this in other parts of the body? A sign, a dot, a natural design that you are looking since a long time, and I never knew how to explain it. Says so right here on the bottom. You don't want. I liken it, and I will bring you true stories from you in the upcoming content. I'm here, but it's not over yet. Because if you have reached the end of this video, and I'm pretty sure of one thing, this is not just a curiosity for you. It's a calling, an invitation to quiet, to get a better look, to understand it more deeply. I live my life. So, I'll see you in the next video. This is appearing in your computer screen with just one click.